Wall of Eyes, the sophomore album from fucking
Farm.
sophomore. That was silly, wasn't it? Sophomore album from the Smile, the boys in the band. Radiohead's Tom York, Johnny Greenwood, Son of Kemet's Tom Skinner. Nailed that, didn't I? That was all to do, Matt. Are back with their second album, Wall of Eyes, following A Light for Attracting Attention, which came out only, 2 years ago?
Yep.
Barely a baby. They've come with a much shorter, much more concentrated effort, I think, here from the band. Only 8 tracks. Help add that up, wouldn't it? Compared to the sprawling debut album from them. 8 tracks. But in my opinion, it was a worthwhile effort to try and kind of rein it in a little bit. You know, it felt like the first album was a bit of a proof of concept from them. Testing out all the different sounds they could do, a bit more jazzy with Tom Skinner. And this album feels like it's been a bit more focused on a kind of general sound. Still very Smile. Still, you know, basically Radiohead if it wants to make you feel dizzy. That's how I feel like it kind of sounds. But yeah, generally a better sound. Someone take the reins for me, please.
No.
Oh well.
I just with the Smile and Radiohead, I've struggled to kind of not get into them because obviously they're great, but it's just a hard route into them, and I still feel like that with the Smile, even though there's only 2 albums. I feel I enjoy them more when there's visuals. One of the singles, I can't remember what the song is, but it's a video from this album that was directed by a famous director whose name I can't remember, but it's black and white.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Anderson.
Sure, that one, whatever that song is.
Well,
I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Oh
it is
well.
awesome.
Oh right, brilliant. Oh okay. Well, there was a specific one.
The black and
I
white one
can't
was this
Cat attack.
Fucking hell, Trixie.
was it Read the
All
Room?
of
Was
us?
that a single? Was Read the Room a single?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong man. I should look.
You brought up this point.
Yeah, no, I know, but I find it easier
Wall of Eyes.
to. Okay,
Okay.
sure. Title track. I find it easier to kind of take it in when I can focus, rather than it just kind of like washing over me because there's so much going on. It's so brilliant, but there's just nothing accessible about it. I think Justin Hawking said it's music for people. They're making music for people who enjoy music.
Yeah.
And apparently I don't enjoy music because
Nice.
I don't know. I want to like it, but I don't know. I find it
Yeah.
too hard to like have to. If I let it wash over me, the whole album will pass, and I feel like I won't have heard a thing.
That is, to pick it up from Michael, that is exactly how I felt when I listened to the album. And also, just to sort of mirror points about visuals, Friend of a Friend, the video for that is one of the best videos
Great.
that's been released of this year. So we'll wait and see how the rest of the year pans out for videos. But yeah, no, I said to you in the chat, it's like Radiohead music that I wouldn't choose to listen to if I was listening to Radiohead. I said that in such a roundabout way. It's the Radiohead I don't want to listen to when I want to listen to Radiohead. There we go.
Yeah, I think the main thing, like I said before, it's Radiohead if you want to make your head spin. It's just that kind of hypnotic, dizzying kind of sound, that repetitiveness for a lot of it, that kind of makes it feel a bit hard to actually kind of grasp onto and enjoy. Just kind of like a helter-skelter that's never-ending sort of thing. But I think once you kind of get to grips with that, and you see the way they're still within that, it builds and it debuilds. What's the word for not build? Unbuild?
Breaks down,
I suppose. It kind of starts to make a bit more sense, I think.
I remember it being the case with the first album. When the singles were released, each time I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm well excited for this album." And I think I enjoyed the first album a little bit more, as a whole collective. again, I just felt the same where it's too much. And if they keep drip feeding me a song a month or every 3 weeks or whatever the release schedule was, I think I'd enjoy it in isolation. But as a project, it's just, I don't know. It's tricky.
Before I come in, and that's the way it is. Before I come in with my comment, did we review the debut album as a album spotlight?
No.
I believe so. Did we not?
No.
Nope.
Okay, well in that case then, I'm confident in saying I never listened to it in full, and that's because I
Probably true.
wasn't sold on the singles myself. I didn't really care for it. Since then, Liam has had a Radiohead renaissance, and it's got me back into Radiohead and some of the songs that passed me by before that I now really like. But we're not talking about Radiohead. We're talking about the Smile.
Well,
And
before
all
we
that
move
means
on
nothing.
from that, as a Radiohead, well, a big Radiohead fan, Liam, is this different enough for you to warrant this being a
Yes.
Smile, or would you rather than just focus on a Radiohead album? Does this feel
I mean,
diluted?
No, it doesn't. It just feels like a very different, just general
Okay,
vibe.
so all right, okay, so it doesn't. As as Mr. Uneducated in this sector,
Hmm.
it does just kind of feel like Radiohead.
I mean, it feels like it could have been a successor to a Moonshaped Pool. I feel like it doesn't feel a million miles away from Moonshaped Pool. But at the same time, it is a very different vibe. So if the first album or this album had come out as a successor to that, it would have made sense. But this and the first album from The Smile are very similar, I feel, in general style. So it makes sense for them to be this new thing. I think the addition of Tom Skinner on the drums is one of those key differences. Obviously, no strangers to different time signatures and weird shit going on in songs, but I feel like that is ever present here in a way not always the case, or not always so obviously so in Radiohead. I think Radiohead are a bit more kind of veiled with some of that stuff sometimes. It's not such in your face, whereas this feels a bit more kind of, I don't know, it feels more like jazzy, I suppose, in a lot of places.
Did you watch Justin Hawkins' video on Friend of a Friend?
I did.
Bloody hell, you love Justin Hawkins.
I
don't
know,
you?
I've had a bit of a binge today.
Yeah, of
and him trying to work out the time signature was very funny.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's
Um,
what is it, Teleharmonic, I think, where Tom starts counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and it was very weird hearing that happen because I hadn't realised that it sounded weird up until then. And I think that's what they're really good at. Is unlike some artists that use some strange time signatures, it feels like it's almost like maybe try hard's a bit of a harsh word, but it kind of feels like they're purposely trying to do something, whereas it's so effortless with these guys. It's
I think
completely effortless.
Tom York's singing is, I think, probably one of the main reasons why that feels so smooth is because
It sits like
it
just
doesn't feel
over
like
it.
a phrase whenever he's singing it. It just feels like a continuous thing
Yeah.
that's going on.
Madness. So when he started saying counting to 5, I was like, oh shit! I didn't click that this was even in 5/4 or 5/8 or whatever the fuck they were doing. I don't know.
Oh, do you even listen to music?
But it just it's just that effortlessness I think is crazy, and there's kind of a lot more of a jazz lean into it than some of the Radiohead stuff, I think. But yeah, genuinely very impressive album. I think I think that's pretty much undeniable. But it's also an assumption, I suppose, from Tom York and Johnny Greenwood. I don't know much about Sons of Kemet, so but yeah, really good, full, cohesive album. I like the kind of a bit more laid back of most of the songs, laid back feel of most of the songs, and then you've got songs like Read the Room, and like the second half of Bend and Hectic, where it really picks up a bit, and they really go full throttle. The second half of Bend and Hectic feels very early Radiohead, and not like really anything we've heard from them for a while, I think. Which is
Wouldn't disagree.
interesting. Okay, that's fine. You can do.
I said I wouldn't.
Oh, I thought you said you would. That's a strange thing to say.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
disagree. And then you've got songs like Friend of a Friend, which is genuinely one of my... I'm saying this without remembering any other song that's come out this year, but probably my favorite song this year. It's
That's definitely my favorite song off this album. Is "Friend of a Friend."
very, very good song. I love the way it comes in after "Under Our Pillows." That kind of like slight build up at the end of that song, and then straight into "Friend of a Friend." It's just a gorgeous song. It's so nice.
Yeah, we just.
But yeah, as I say, I mean, I've said this a million times. I really think they've focused their efforts very well into this project as an individual kind of piece. I think it was the right move after the big first album to say, okay, well, what is the smile about all of this stuff? You know, you might even say the first album was a bit more Radiohead than this, and this is them kind of really leaning into the smile.
Nice. What would you rate it?
I'd rate it an 8
Wow.
out of 10. I think.
Nice. I'm not going to rate it, Cal, because I've not given it as much of an opportunity because it just is difficult to get into for me and I presume for you, Cal. But yeah, it wouldn't feel fair. So
No, I feel like if I had an infinite amount of time, I would dedicate some of that to this, and I'd feel like I'd reap the rewards. But I don't know. I doubt I ever will, which is a shame because I know that I'd enjoy it if I really applied myself.
Yeah, I know it's a fantastically made album.
Yeah,
and everything
for
about
sure.
it is great.
There's absolutely
but
nothing wrong with it. It's just
I will say, interestingly,
the desire is lacking.
Sorry, Carl. Interestingly,
sorry.
on this, I don't believe Nigel Godrich is involved.
Wow.
I believe
God.
it was produced by someone else, which the first Smile album
Who are they?
was. I'm trying to find out. Sam Petts Davis, who I feel like I've seen the name, but I couldn't tell you who they are. But yeah, I'm sure the first Smile album was Nigel Godrich, and obviously, you know, most Radiohead stuff is.
Yep.
So that's interesting. I don't think that it makes a massive difference, honestly.
No, it really doesn't. No.
So, you know, fair play to Sam Petts Davis
Fair
for
play.
living up to the god that is Godrich. But
Nice.
yeah, it's one of those that I've fully accepted when I listen to it. It's to wash over and play in the background and come to peace with that, and then find myself just putting it on when I can't think of anything else to put on because it's great as a background listen.
Yeah.
And I like that as opposed to the first album, which I felt the same way about. You pretty much always get to listen to all the tracks. Whereas I felt with the first one, it felt like it would take a lot longer, and so you'd end up not covering some of the last tracks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all I've got
Nice.
to say.
That is our review of Wall of Eyes by The Smile. Thanks for watching, listening, and all that thing that you do.
Goodbye.